What's up, fellow wrestling fans? Josh here with RSMP Wrestling, and today I have a very special guest with me.
I'm Ryan Frost, the infamous Ryan Frost, the undeniable Ryan Frost, the Brass City Devil, Ryan Frost. Hello.
The indomitable, undeniable,
Indomitable we can get. Undeniable, yes.
spectacular,
Indomitable.
beautiful,
I think
handsome.
Indomitable, I've been looking for a new, I need a new one because like we're moving on to a new phase, like in the history and the character at Test of Strength. So Indomitable, I'm going to keep that in mind.
I
That's
think
not
that
bad.
was Island of Misfits Toys. Isn't that from that claymation? I don't know. Maybe I'm just making it up. Anyway, let's get back on track. We are on our first episode of the RSMP Wrestling Podcast. This one might be a little bit longer than normal, but we're going to usually aim for like 45 minutes to an hour. But today we want to introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about who we are, what we're doing, and why. Does that sound good?
I think so.
All right, so I'm going to start this off. So my name's Josh. For those of you that don't know, I kicked off this little endeavor of RSMP Wrestling because I ended up working with these guys that were working on a wrestling board game. It's actually super awesome. I'll insert some sort of clip or something that people can see here now. And I knew for the promotion I wanted to get like real wrestling. So I ended up going down to a wrestling event. Now, I should probably have started off with like, I was a wrestling fan way back in the day, like early 90s when I was a little kid, The Rock, Stone Cold, all that stuff. Fell out, as an adult, didn't pay attention to it, wasn't anything I followed or watched. I go to this wrestling event. I was blown away so hard and instantly at the crowd and how much they make the show better. I was blown away at the athleticism, at the showmanship, at the ability to improv, not only physical actions, but dialogue, banter, and all this stuff. And it really just kind of hooked me right then and there and almost like pulled me back in to be a fan again. This was a little bit different because we're not talking WWE or WWF. We're talking like an independent, like small, $10 to $20 to get in the door and watch this event organization.
Was Pioneer Valley the first one you went to?
It was,
in Ludlow?
yeah. We met there the first time,
Yes. So that was your first one.
First one I ever walked in, yeah. Yep.
That was awesome. That was a fundraiser for the Ludlow Lions wrestling team. Yeah. It was crazy that I happened to be there to make your acquaintance because I had not been in that building for years. And I had never wrestled for PvP before, but I actually offered to donate my time because it was for amateur wrestling, which I did wrestle in high school. And it was in the Ludlow Elks, which I had, I'd had a lot of really cool opportunities wrestling for a promotion called Battlefront back then. Like I wrestled Just Incredible and the Sandman. It was crazy. So I really wanted to be in that building again. It just so happened that it worked out, and then we became acquainted, and now we do stuff together all the time.
Oh, we can swear on this.
Okay.
Yeah, we're adults. It doesn't matter.
All right.
Could you imagine if I had to watch myself and not swear through this whole thing? Oh, that'd be awful. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird how the world works sometimes, how things transpire.
Yeah, well, one of the things I try to do, I work under the name Running Scared Motion Pictures. And one of the things I like to do and focus on is, for 15 years, I was a full-time firefighter paramedic. A lot of people have heard this story. I've started that out many times. But I delivered babies. I ran into burning buildings. I saved lives. And I saw the worst that this world had to offer. And then I picked up a camera one day. And I started looking at the world differently when I was using the camera. I was only trying to see the beauty in the world and how to capture it. And I kind of got like addicted to that. So like now when I shoot things, not only am I shooting like, if I'm shooting a football event, yes, it's for the football, but it's so much more than just that thing. It's the blood, sweat, the tears. It's the hours that go into it. It's a game plan, the practicing, the diet, the routine, the camaraderie, the friendship, the train. It's like those are the things I try to focus on. So when I stepped into the Pioneer Valley event, this fundraiser for wrestling and, all these just unbelievable men and women out here doing tremendous things, it kind of like, it hooked me. It was like, this is exactly what Running Scared wants to do. I want to shoot good people doing good stuff. And this was like the perfect next spot for it. So I walked in and, I do things a little differently. I'm a little bit more cinematic. So I started interviewing people and talking to people. And at first, everybody's like scared when you throw a camera in their face and you're like, especially me, I talk this fast all the time. So when I first meet you and I'm holding a camera and all this and I'm like, what's up, guys? I'm Josh from Running Scared Motion Pictures. I won't make you look bad, I promise. But it's like I have to gain your trust in like just a matter of minutes, and then I have to put this piece together. And again, everything I try to do, I try to make like emotional and impactful to people. So I walk in, I met you. You made that very easy right off the bat. You have a background in theater. You're a wrestler. I mean, this is kind of the world that you live in. So it just seemed like a good fit. And, and then I got to see the show and I got to film it and do some pictures and stuff. And it was like, again, it's like, you can say what you want about wrestling, whether it's real, whether it's fake, whether it's this, whether it's that. But when you watch a full grown man jump off a top rope and another full grown man catch this dude, pick him up over his head and throw him outside of the rope, like, you're not going to tell me like, that's not amazing. That's not incredible. That's not just as important or just not just as impressive as a man catching a football in an end zone, So it's like, I got to see that. And again, what's beautiful about wrestling is there is every shape, every size, every form, men, woman. And it's like, the appeal to me now that I think is super cool is, you're around my age. We grew up in like the comic book era. It's like, now if you want to be a wrestler, like you can almost like invent your comic book character and like that could be your persona. Mm-hmm. And what blew my mind, I think the first thing that really impressed me about amateur and independent wrestling was like, it's accessible. Like if you're watching this right now, like you can do a search on the internet and most likely there's some sort of gym or, training facility around you. Test of Strength has a facility that you're pretty comfortable and familiar with.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, East Hartford has Test of Strength run by Slick Wagner Brown. East Haven has Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling run by Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. Both, former WWE employees. In Danbury, I believe it was 3D Academy. It was Bubba Ray Dudley's school, and Randy Shawn was teaching. He was coaching, and I think Randy took it over. I think now it's called Platinum Dojo or Platinum Academy, out in Danbury. And all these different schools have, several talents that are standout, like in not only in the local scene, but there's things like Wrestling Open that comes out of Worcester on Thursdays and out of Rhode Island on Mondays. They have 2 weekly shows and they're huge on the internet. And like all these guys who perform locally, who you can pay $10 to stand this close to and watch them do a flip off the top rope and land and catch somebody. They're all over that. And that's like pro wrestlers watch that, like the big companies watch that. So, there's definitely the accessibility of really good performers and promotions is kind of unreal. Like you just have to look.
Well, and like you said too, I mean, that's the other thing that was striking about this show. You're 10 feet away from the ring, the people, the wrestlers, and it's like, again, the thing that hooked me, the first heel had walked out and just instantly starts like bad mouthing people in the crowd. And then it's going back and forth to the point where I'm like, is this about to get out of control? But like everybody knew the rules. Like it was a great fun time. I'm not like, it was just a wonderful experience, but just seeing like the banter back and forth was just like, where can you go and just like almost be part of the show yourself as a fan other than like an independent wrestling event? So yeah, I ended up going out. We shot a few full events. I've got multi cameras and some stuff like that. I actually am going to be releasing a Pioneer Valley event that I did shoot. We're working on getting some commentation audio for it and stuff to make it really something special. But the problem is, there's a lot of great filmers doing that in this area. There's a lot of good content in that vein. What I want to focus a little bit more on, though, I did at the last Pioneer Valley show that I went to. I went down kind of as a single person, couple cameras, picture camera, video camera, and I shot a lot of cool stuff. I got some really good pictures for the organization and for some of the wrestlers, and I got some really good videos because I'm working on a documentary. We actually have a couple projects we're working on. One being a documentary about independent and amateur wrestling, and 2, we're actually going to be working on a mini series that is going to follow the comeback of a wrestler. And, it's going to have some actual wrestling elements to it, but it's going to be shot cinematically and it's got a script to it. We're going to have some fun with that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I want to come in, I want to help out. I want to build promotion. I want to show the world how awesome wrestling is and why you should either, if you're not going to go to a show or if you're not going to go to a training facility and start training yourself, why you should at least go to a show. And then we've teamed up together and I like your energy. I like your attitude, the wrestling world well. So, I'm hoping to have you on a bunch of shows coming up. Clearly I will have the intent to shoot, different wrestlers so we can hear their story, their background. I'll interview some refs, basically anybody in the business. So you can kind of get an insight to all aspects of wrestling, but I would love Frosty to be kind of a continuous piece that comes back and helps out with the show.
Well, great. I would like to do that. Sounds good.
Nice. I will let you talk about yourself and we'll go down that avenue. But before we do, we just talked about some pro wrestlers. So behind me here, this is the first set that we're kind of working in here. And these three pictures here, my Uncle Shelly took the one to in the middle here. And that's the stepdads they go by.
Yes, the stepdads are Radley Belmont, the Rad Dad, and Papa Bear, Wade Kruger. I have a very long and storied history with these individuals. Big fan of them as people and also to work with. One of the most intense rivalries I've experienced as a wrestler, believe it or not, is against two, sitcom dads. I was in a team called Cold Cash with the privileged TJ Howell III, and we were, he was like the entitled son of a wealthy, entrepreneur. And I was like his big buddy. So like when he talked crap, he had me to like back him up. And we had a feud with them because we were undefeated at Test of Strength and they beat us. So like, obviously we're mad about that. And we get into it and we're just feuding with them and they just keep getting one up on us. And that's what ultimately led to me becoming a good guy for the first time because, we lost the step ladder match, the first ever step ladder match. And there may have been step ladder matches for other promotions at other times. I had never heard of it. I created it. I shared it with the four of us. And since there have been several matches called Step Ladder Warfare, it's become like a really cool thing locally. But the first one, it was my idea. I will take the credit. The promoter was like, well, it's a step ladder. Like, why can't you just jump and grab whatever it is? And I said, we don't need to hang anything over the ring. The catch is that step ladders are legal weapons. And that sounds silly until like you see somebody get like sandwiched between two in a concerto, or like you see somebody, throw one like Sabu at your face. Like they're sharp, angular metal objects. Like it's actually kind of badass. It's one of my favorite matches I've ever had was the original stepladder match. And then TJ got mad that we lost and he turned on me, and then the stepdad saved me, and they actually had a huge part in me turning hero for the first time.
Nice. And interestingly enough, so Radley has this like really funny thing that he does in the ring. So he'll like fold this guy up like a pretzel, and then he kind of sits on him like he's a toilet, and he pulls out a magazine or a newspaper. But the newspaper's got Batman on it. I don't know what it's from or like what it is, but it's funny. So they got a good stick going on. And then
they do spankings.
Yeah,
they put you in timeout.
And I will say, if you guys end up seeing this, I appreciate you guys. You share the crap out of the stuff that I post. They really do. They use a lot of their stuff in their promo. They're always tagging me and stuff. So, that's why I'm doing this. So I appreciate that, guys. So good looking out.
They are the best kind of brother. Like anything, like any form of entertainment or art, you'll find people who are selfish, and you'll find people who are conniving, and people who are only out for themselves and will step on your back to get ahead. And there are those people in wrestling, but there's also people like the stepdads who are just like really good people that all they want to do is help the show they're on. They want to help everyone else. They want to help, they're just super giving and selfless and friendly. Like I appreciate them. I don't have enough good things to say about them.
Well, funny little behind the scenes story. So Frosty ended up walking in here not too long ago. We're working on another little project here. And once he saw that picture, he's like, can I take a picture of this and send it to him? And I was like, I would love for you to do that, but I want them to be able to see it like the first time we do it. So I hope, we will change them as time goes on. I will swap it out. But, the pictures that we use are going to be, pictures that RSMP wrestling shoots, whether it's me, my uncle, my aunt, or somebody I bring in for photography. But, we're trying to offer some high quality photos and just, bring it to that next level. Make it
Hi,
special.
Josh's aunt and uncle.
Yeah, no, and honestly,
they're cool too.
Huge shout out to Judy and Shelly. It's like a lot of times I'm doing video. So if you see those two like roaming around, they're donating their time. Like they don't ask for anything. They love taking pictures. They love good people and
they're
energy.
good at it.
Yeah, and they
still get those pictures, guys.
Yeah, they kick them over to me. I edited them up, and then I had Bob Thorpe help out. He did some photos for an event for me one time.
Boss.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's got a really good YouTube channel that does like RC car stuff. And then Lenny, oh my God, Lenny's my dude. He's done some camera work for me. at a couple of events now, and he's just got such a good heart, such a good soul. Like the kid, I was at an event. I wasn't even planning on having him. Got a few cameras set up, and I'm like, man, I really could have used another camera guy. Lenny's there. I'm like, Lenny, what's up, man? He gives me a big hug. What's up, brother, man? You know, he's such a good dude. I'm like, Lenny, feel free to say no, my dude. But I could really use another camera guy. You want to shoot this event? He's like, yup. He shot the event, like on the spot, shot the event with me, like, you know, and after that, I got him on for a few more events. And, you know, he's somebody that I want to pull on as a cameraman for some of the other stuff that we do in the future. So, you know, always look out for Lenny because he's a great guy.
And I need to say this, Lenny's a bum. But yes, he's very good at filming, and he's very generous with his time for sure. But he's a bum.
Yeah, great kid, great energy. And then over here we have Calypto when she was fighting Livia, and I feel like this is a mistake, but I want to say I thought that was Calypto's first fight, or maybe first fight for Pioneer Valley.
Probably for Pioneer Valley.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, she's actually really cool. She's got like this Muay Thai style. And then Livia's been around for a bit.
Livia's from Paradise Alley, so she was trained by Roma and Mario. Although, you know, everyone in the scene who's taking it seriously does go to different schools and learns different things, you know. But yeah, she I believe that's where she started, and she's been everywhere too. She's been doing a great job. I'm not as familiar with Calypto, but the times I've encountered her in the locker room, very friendly. But I haven't seen any of the work. So a Muay Thai style sounds really cool. I can kind of see the like the fight shorts. I'll bet you that's pretty, because you don't see that with a lot of the female wrestlers, you know, so that could be really cool.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. And Livia, if you actually see this, we need like a little sister character to play in our short. So if you have any interest in doing any acting and you want to give up a day or two to
especially because right now she's injured.
Really? Well, this won't be for a little while. It's something we're setting up now, but yeah, we've got something in the works. So I'll shamelessly plug anything or ask anybody anywhere I can at any time. So we'll make it work because, you know, you got to get the work done. So, and then over here, we've got some dudes that you're very familiar with.
Absolutely. Actually, in the background, is that Bob Thorpe's friend? I think I can't tell. But so Pedro Wandones, I have known for at least 10 years because I started training at PWA in Connecticut, which was originally in New Haven. They moved to Cheshire. I didn't complete my training there only because I hadn't committed to, I hadn't really embraced it and taken it seriously. So it's through no fault of theirs. But you know, PWA did Friday night fights, and you put all the good guys on one side of the ring, all the bad guys on the other side of the ring, because you're in their school. So, you know, there's only this way, like, to see everything, like, because the ring is like the walls are close. So all the good guys on one side, all the bad guys on the other side, and they would randomly draw the match. Like, they would be like, oh, is wrestling, oh, like, you don't have time to, you know, do anything, like predict anything to, it was pretty wild and pretty impressive. And he was at those back then. He was in a group called the Infamous Injustice League that I was supposed to join when I, you know, graduated, when I was ready, with Joseph von Schmidt, who was the head trainer at PWA. And that was going to be a really cool thing. We'll get into it at some point, but I had, my original gimmick was Snidely Whopperfutz. And I was just going to be an old-timey villain. It was going to be a lot of fun. But so now, you know, fast forward 10 years later, and Pedro is not only a regular on Wrestling Open, on Beyond, like that big internet show, but he's also a major figure at PvP, Pioneer Valley, which we've been talking about. He was just recently the champion, actually, for several months. You know, really good guy. I've had the pleasure of working with him once now, like one-on-one in front of a carnival crowd. It was really dope, actually. And he's so great to work with, a lot of fun. Doesn't want to talk about a lot, just wants to go out there and feel it out and have the crowd tell you what they want. And really enjoyed it. And he's a good brother. We just did this Rumble at PvP that you were filming. And I slide in the ring, and, you know, routinely, you know, somebody, especially somebody who the fans are reacting to, comes into the ring, feed him, you know, a couple guys come in, bump, 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 rah, you know, and then cut him down. Nobody came to me at all, which is fine. No problem. Everybody's selling or like fighting, working, doing their own thing. So whatever, like no complaints, except I'm looking around. I have nothing. I'm like, what? And Pedro's like, I'm like, oh shit, okay, let's go. So he right there, then he gave us another really good spot where he pulled the suspenders and snapped them on me.
Yes, and I have that in slow motion. We actually use that in the promo for PvP that I cut too. Yep.
But he's a really good guy, really good, really giving, and fun to work with. He is punishing RJ Rude there. RJ is actually a pop punk singer in real life. He has a band that tours and everything. But he also wrestles man, I don't know if it was 10 years ago or not, but he was in a tag team called Insanely Rude with Zane. I can't remember his partner's name, but they were.
If you know it, comment it in the comments.
Zane Bernardo. They were making waves. Like I believe they were tag team champions at NEW, which was a big deal at the time. They always had a lot of big names come through. And he's from Connecticut. He's from Bristol. He, I've bumped into him at a restaurant I was working at by mistake. He's a really good kid, also really giving. I haven't worked with him much, but, we all work with each other and we hear about how it is working with people from each other. And, I've never heard a bad thing said about him. He has a really good connection with the fans, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, he's always getting them going. So.
Nice. Well, anybody that's up there or any of the local wrestlers, if you want to jump on the podcast, I'll give you an opportunity to talk about who you are, where you came from, what got you into wrestling, kind of all those things there. So to kick that off, what got you into wrestling?
Oh, me. So I used to watch, my great grandmother would rent like old VHS of like WrestleManias and Survivor Series and Royal Rumbles. So I'd be laying there on the living room floor, like looking up at the TV. And actually, the first time I saw wrestling, I remember I was at that was my great grandparents. They had a huge hand in raising me. I was at my regular grandparents, my grandmother's house. And I was looking for cartoons on a Saturday morning. And it popped up. And it was Texas Tornado against Mr. Perfect on like Saturday Morning Superstars or something. And I was like, this is awesome. Look at these are superheroes fighting in real life. Because I was into comics. I was always into comics. And my grandfather, my grandmother's husband, comes up and he goes, turn that shit off. That shit's fake. And I was like, I don't care if it's fake. This is just awesome. I just want to watch it. So I never had a chance to like think it was real, but it never mattered to me. I don't think, I don't think Spider-Man's real, but I watch Spider-Man. I don't think Iron Man's real, but I watch Iron Man. So I just so I couldn't watch it there, but my great grandmother would get me she said her mother always used to love it, and she would rent the videos and I would watch them. And I just, it was the Macho Man Randy Savage that got me like hooked. I needed to see everything he did, everyone he fought. Like he was so captivating, just insane. Never was a Hogan guy. And that's easy to say now that like, there's all the kind of, he had his, public, they aired out his persona.
It's tough, right? I've had a lot of conversations about that with other creative people. It's like separating the art from the artist, right? Kevin Spacey and other people like that. It sucks. Obviously, nobody condones poor behavior, but I think anybody that wants to still support Hogan or, is a fan of him, like it was embedded into people's childhood. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's complicated, right?
It is. I mean, he's one of the better villains of all time. I mean, Hollywood Hogan was, a great villain. I just noticed, Bobby Heenan would always talk about him and always like say he's a bad guy because Bobby Heenan was the villain commentator, but he was always right. Like, look at Hogan. He picked up that chair. He hit him with that chair, Gorilla. And he did and he would punch you with a closed fist and he would give you a back rake and he would like rake your eyes if you were bigger than him. Like he was doing some villain shit. So he wasn't squeaky clean anyway. Regardless, I was never a Hogan guy. I was always a Savage guy. Randy Savage, Roddy Piper were like my guys. Jake the Snake. Like I always kind of veered towards those, like their promos were different. It wasn't just the cartoon character. But and Randy Savage was definitely an eccentric character. You could call him a cartoon character, but I don't know, man. Like he was very, very meticulous with how he said things and how he did things, and I don't know. So that's what got me into it.
So how old were you when you realized like the first time, like, you know what? Not only am I a fan of this and I like watching it, but like I'm gonna go do that.
I think most of us, backyard wrestled at some point or another. Those of us who do wrestle now. And I had never heard of backyard wrestling. I didn't like see it on, I didn't see a Hardy Boys tape and say, "Oh, I want to do that in my backyard," because that hadn't happened yet. Like I'm of an age where the Hardy Boys, I was already like shit. I was at least in high school. But it was seventh or eighth grade when my friends, the Warziniacs, and I, and my other friend Fred Caruso, we would do like it would only be two of us at a time. Put the VHS camera down, push record, go out and be characters, and we would change shirts to change characters because it was only two of us, and we wanted to put like, excuse me, make a whole show. So you come up with fun jobbers, and you come up with like it was pretty crazy when we started. And then as it developed, we started kind of taking it seriously. I remember the first serious move was, okay, no more changing shirts to change characters. Pick your character. We have enough guys, so pick your character. And then like, more kids from other towns nearby, like who like were kind of doing theirs, would like see one of our tapes and be like, oh, I want to do it with them because they take this shit seriously. Like they're doing this. So we like took on kids from other towns and shit. We did have one kind of like, not invasion, but like there was one up in Winstead that I don't remember the name of. No offense, guys. If you see this, I can't imagine you would, or that you would even recognize me because I was thin and had like luscious dark hair. And it didn't go great because like we were very different people. I would like to say that they made us better because we saw how like physical they were being with each other. Like they were hitting each other and they were like doing like slams and suplexes on the ground. And we were like, ooh, we're playing characters and like we're hitting each other with chairs, but we're not trying to like take a suplex on the ground. And we saw that they did, and then we started doing a little more, and we were like, oh, we could do this. So, we started taking it more seriously. We did like birthday parties. We built a ring, like a shitty little fake ring. It wasn't shitty. Big Tom, if you see this, it was awesome. And it led to some of the greatest moments of my entire life that I will never forget. Thank you. When I say shitty, I mean in comparison to a real ring. Yeah. But yeah, it was wooden beams and PVC pipe taped up to make it look like ropes. Like you couldn't hit the ropes, they were there for show because, we wanted to put on a show. We did some Boy Scout troop holidays. We did birthday parties.
How old were you at this time?
Like 7th and 8th grade is when we started. I want to say like sophomore to junior years when like we started like really like doing it and taking it seriously. I think I probably stuck around for a year, like maybe into freshman year of college. But at that point, like I had an apartment and I had school to pay for and bills. So, it just didn't make sense. I couldn't dedicate that much time and attention to it. And, once my people kind of outgrew it, it couldn't survive with the other people because we're the ones who started it and had, invested so much of our youth into it. But, I think most people who are wrestlers now at least did a little bit of backyard wrestling. It's frowned upon and it's shunned, and yarder is an insult, and I understand and agree with all those statements. But at the same time, like it's some of the best memories I have. So I wouldn't give it away or trade it for anything.
No, I hear you. So the other thing I actually want to address is you talked about tapes. Now, I'm sure there's probably some young kids that are like, what do you mean tapes? Like, so for us, it was like skateboarding and like motocross. Like, but we used to buy, like, you would get like these DVI tapes or even the old cassette tapes at a time. And like, this is what we did for fun. Like you could like make your own stuff and there wasn't any editing software. Like you'd have two VCRs and you'd be like recording one and trying to like make your cuts on the other. So it's like, it's funny because now, again, here I am, this gearhead. Like you guys have probably seen my bald head walking around with the gear that I have now, this gimbal that balances itself. And like, it's come a long way, it really has. So you fall in love with wrestling when you're a little kid through the grandparents and stuff, which is, I always love asking people that, because most of the time when you ask somebody like what got you into wrestling, there's never anything that starts out with other than a person in their life and then the wrestling story. So it's just nice to see that it's like something that forms a bond and pulls people in. But so you did it for a while, you're a kid, you get your bearings there. And, you've said before, like you got into wrestling later in life. So how old were you? And just tell us a little bit about like, what were you thinking? Like what was leading up to the decision before you were like, I'm going to a wrestling school and I'm going to do this?
Well, so I did wrestle in high school, like amateur wrestling, and did pretty well. I was all state one year. I didn't win the tournament, but like like I think I was third. No, I was fourth because the top one was 1 and 3. Like whoever won was number one, and whoever lost was number three. And the bottom one was whoever won was number two, and whoever lost was number four. And I lost that. So like I was technically all state, but like the bum of all state. And it was prep school, so I wasn't that great. But I did it, and I enjoyed it, and I loved it. And it has, I think every professional wrestler should at least spend like a month training and studying amateur wrestling, because like it makes it so much easier to improvise in a match and like take your time and like work in a pro wrestling match, because you have that to fall back on. I had traveled the country selling alarms. I had like done all this stuff that I kept trying to find my niche, like what I was gonna do, and I still don't even know if I have. But um, Ron Zombie put up on Facebook that there was a seminar with Stevie Richards at a place called Pro Wrestling Academy, Connecticut, and that was in New Haven at the time. And I messaged him because I knew Ron from, I sang for bands, and he played guitar in the greatest local band of all time, Nasty Disaster. And we would do shows together. And I would always be like, one day I'm going to train to be a wrestler and we're going to have a match. And he'd always be like, okay, good. Once my surgically repaired knee is fixed, maybe, he never said like, get the fuck out of here. Like he was always like, okay, we'll see. And he posted on Facebook that there was a seminar with Stevie Richards, and I messaged him. I'm like, hey, Ron, I wrestled like in high school, and I did some backyard wrestling, but I've never been like in a ring. Can I do this seminar? And he's like, well, let me just text Stevie and I'll find out. And I was like, you can text Stevie Richards? Because Ron's not a celebrity, but Stevie Richards is. I was like, wow. And he's like, yeah, Stevie said he can go. Now, looking back, any wrestler will let anyone take their seminar. Give me $30, kid. You know what I mean? I know that now. But back then, I'm like, am I allowed? Like, can I do this? And I went. I borrowed sweat shorts from my stepbrother at the time, Alex. And Xander Litt was there. Hippie Dickie Moon was there. Wrecking Ball Legursky was there. Nathaniel Carr was there. Lucifer Lords, who is now Troy Stevens, was there. Buzz Bloodsaw was there. I'm just thinking of like the guys who are still around who I know who were there the first time I did anything in pro wrestling. They were all there. Xander Litt was the first person to be Hippie Dickie Moon. Xander Litt was the first person to be very friendly, like to welcome me, to be like, hey, how are you? Who are you? Like, what are you doing here? The very first person. And whenever I wear a black singlet under like my tight, stretchy wrestling jeans, or if I ever wear a black singlet, it's the one he gave me back then, Xander Litt's. Somehow it still fits me because I'm twice the size I was. But so I go to the seminar, and the very first thing was Stevie was talking about how like what's the first thing that happens in a wrestling match? What's the very first thing? And people are like, oh, the entrance. And it's like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean in the match. And people are like, you start doing this and that. And he's like, no. I raised my hand. He's like, you? I was like, a lockup? And he's like, okay, guys, this is his first day. And he got it. Pay attention. Not to throw everyone under the bus. It made sense to me because in real wrestling, you lock up. So the day goes on, and he let me do a few physical things. I remember one point he like we were like he let me just like goof around a little, and I clotheslined the shit out of somebody, and he's like, "Whoa, all right, slow down a little, because that was good, but like you're not trained. Don't do that shit yet." It's like, okay, okay. But it was a really cool experience. And that's how I learned about PWA. And I said, I want to do this. But I can't, I'm a waiter. Like I work at night, and they arranged for me to do one-on-ones in the afternoons, either with Von Schmidt or with Buzz, who was assistant trainer at the time. So they actually let me, they didn't ask me for the upfront amount. They said, yeah, you can, take a class at a time, just give us this much per class. And I really loved it. I got in really, really good shape. I was doing stuff that like I don't know necessarily that I could do right now. I would probably have to work at getting back in the shape, but like all kinds of lucha stuff, because they were very lucha centric. Um, on the ropes, jumping, flipping stuff. I was really like the athletic part, I was good. I wasn't learning like the work part yet. I didn't get the chance to, because once a week in an afternoon, like I'm not like doing enough to like really absorb it. And eventually it became once every 2 weeks, and eventually it was like, oh, can I go this month? And I just fell out of it because I didn't really approach it seriously. Um then that's when I went away went around the country as a sales manager for an alarm company. I came back and got my old car sales job back, and PWA had moved to Cheshire. So it had moved 10, 15 minutes away from my job, and their classes started at 7, and I got out of work at 7. And I was like, you know what? You guys think I could come back? And they were like, of course, here's how much it costs a month. So I came back, and I was going at least once a week, more often twice a week. At that point, it was Hippie Dicky Moon and Bull Dread were the trainers. Because Von Schmidt I believe he had moved at this point to Atlanta. I don't recall exactly where. It was still running. It was still live and running. His ex-wife Kara was running it, and then Hippie and Bull were training, and it was such a family atmosphere. Like that's where Sammy Diaz started. That's where Elijah Six started. That's where Daje Simone started. So like, even though I had done that practice, I had been learning earlier, and it hadn't really been sitting with me. Now I was able to give it more attention, spend more time on it, and there was a lot more camaraderie because I was with these people every class. It went on and on to a point where I started reffing at their Friday night fights. And I would suggest to anybody trying to become a professional wrestler, spend a little time reffing. Obviously, I'm 6'3", right now I'm like 260. Back then I was probably around like 230, 240. I look too big to ref for sure, but you can, I never stand up all the way. And I actually had two different wrestlers separately ask me not to stand up straight because they didn't want to look small. And I'm like, okay, dude, whatever, fucking. So, reffing is great because not only do you learn like about like ring positioning and how matches are put together and pacing and you're experiencing what they experience with the crowd interaction and stuff. But also, you can learn how better to interact with refs when you are wrestling. And we're all lined up, ready to go at a Friday night fights. And Kara comes over and says, hey guys, I have some news. We've got 2 Friday night fights left and the school's closing. And I said, God damn it. I am so close to being ready to have a match in front of a crowd. And now I'm never gonna, because I didn't realize there were like 15 schools and that like you could just go to a wrestling school. If I realized that, I would have done it out of high school. I didn't know you could just go. So Von Schmidt and Kara referred us to test of strength with Slick Wagner Brown, and I had known of Slick Wagner Brown. I'd seen him wrestle numerous times. I just didn't know he had a school. The whole time I was going to PWA in Cheshire, which I don't regret at all. I could have been going to my own town down the street because Test of Strength was in Watertown, Connecticut, where I lived. The whole time I could have been going there, but whatever, it's fine. Now TOS is in Hartford, so I have to drive from Watertown to Hartford to go to class, which isn't that bad. Wagner Brown used to drive 2 hours to go to class, and he used to do it 3 times a week. Yeah. And he did it before he was old enough to get in the ring. Wow. Like, the man was obsessed. The man,
how bad you want it, right?
The man is Jordan Kobe. You know, he's got that mindset. It's funny because I feel like he can't relate to people who don't. You know, he like, not that he expects you to, he just like doesn't understand. Like, if you don't want it, you don't want it. You know, yeah. That's his mindset. So I emailed Slick and I was like, hi, you know, I know of you. I'm a fan of yours. And, you know, Joseph von Schmidt referred us to you. I just want to be transparent. I'm going to finish training with them until the school closes, just because I want to show them loyalty, because that's where I started. And he was like, I respect that completely. Loyalty is extremely important. So, you know, just let me know when you're ready to come up. So then I started going to TOS, and that's, you know, Sammy and Hippie also did, Eli and Daje, all of us did. Everyone from PWA who was a regular student went to TOS afterwards. And that's where, and it has nothing to do with PWA. It's no failing of theirs. It's a failing of my own. But I had just gotten to the point where I was taking it seriously enough and devoting enough attention and time to it that I was about to debut when the school closed. So I walked into TOS already there. And, you know, it was a matter of about 6 months. And I was 36 years old when I debuted in May of 2017, I think. Yeah, most wrestlers are not 36 when they debut, I don't think. And a lot of people, you know, at the dealership I worked at, they were like, oh, here comes the big tough wrestler. I don't even know why you're doing this shit. And it's like, because I want to. And I am a big and tough wrestler. Like, you come here and do this. Go ahead. Take 2 bumps and tell me how much you like it. But yeah, I don't regret anything at all. I would say if I regret anything, it is not going as often as I should. And there's, you know, at times there's reasons and at times there's not, you know, I don't make excuses, but, you know, if you want to do this to the best of your ability, you need like wholehearted devotion. It does not pay to be part-time when you're doing this. You are part-time because you're not touring the country. You're not wrestling 5 times a week unless you're Richard Holiday or something, you know? But you know, you really have to, even if you aren't Kobe or Michael, even if you're, I don't know who, another basketball player, even if you're Sean Kemp, like, you're just naturally really good, but you don't really try as hard as you can. You know, look at how he ended up. So it's, you know, am I happy with where I am in wrestling? Not particularly. I do think I should be farther along. I think I should be working for some bigger promotions, and I think I should be in better shape. But I don't have anyone to blame for that. I don't have any excuses. I just know that if I want that, you know, time is ticking and becomes increasingly short, and I just have to devote myself to it more and make those opportunities happen.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, to your point, it's like, man, there's a million things I look back on and wish I did younger, longer, better, but it's like, or every day that we have truly is a gift, right? So it's like, it's never too late. You know, if you want something bad enough, like, go get it. Don't let somebody tell you that they can't. And like right now, like, I've been on the fence for a little while about filmmaking, right? Like, to make a short film, it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 months of pre-production. You have to have everything go right. You shoot, then it's like crazy time editing, where in 5 years, most likely you're going to be able to talk a prompt into your TV and it will generate you the movie or the show that you're going to want to watch. Like, AI is going to make a huge impact, right? But it's like, would you not pick up a guitar because Stevie Ray Vaughan exists? Like, no, like, there are things out there that can be better than you, but it's like you do it for the journey too. Like we forget about that. Like social media and all this stuff's taught us that like your collection's not good enough. You're not a good enough wrestler. You're not a good enough filmmaker. And it's like I we just judge so much on like the end result, but like you just said, like so many things that you had talked about and so many things that we've talked about in the past, it's like the nights that you get to spend with amazing people, these like just crazy memories that you get to create. And whether you were 36, 46, or quite frankly, even 56, you still would have done those, you know? So I think, you know, anybody that hears this, like, I hope they're motivated by your story of it's never too late to do anything, especially something this physical. You know, we talk about like, when people say is like wrestling real or is it fake, I always say like they're not trying to hurt each other, but like I've got pictures of dudes bleeding. I got slow motion video of Super Fro doing a backflip and breaking his leg in slow motion, and which I may do something with that footage if we have them on. I may like release it, but you know I got footage like that, and the first thing I did was I reached out to him to be like, hey man, first of all that really sucks. I hope you're okay. After we had some banter, I was like, listen, I've got this footage. I'm not going to release it or show it to anybody unless I have your permission. Like, yeah, I don't know this guy. Like, that's kind of a personal moment. You know, I'm not going to just try to capitalize on something like that and just for clicks or views or something like that. But if he does say we can release it, it's a pretty good clip. So, you know, we'll see. But, you know, it's stuff like that. It's like, so I think if anybody's struggling with motivation for anything, like go watch a wrestling show. Like just jump on the internet, do a search, amateur wrestling around me, independent wrestling around me. They are constantly at VFWs, churches, pretty much any place. I mean, they have them all over the place.
If you can fit the ring, you know.
Yeah, right.
I have trouble. I try to find venues because, you know, I try to help promotions that I work for. You know, I always try to do more than just wrestle because I want to help. I want to be involved, and I want to, you know, it's not so that I can get a win on next show. You know what I mean? It's so that we have a next show.
And that's what's beautiful. There's so many men and women out there. It's like, again, I'm watching them build the ring. I'm watching them do this. I'm watching them work. Like it's a community effort. And I think that's what, if people went to see one of these events, I think that's something that they would notice and that they would see. And I think that's the beauty to it for me. You know, for me, I guess, like when I first got into wrestling, I don't remember the exact like moment or time, but I was big into the Sega Genesis game, Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah,
big Razor
I had it
Ramon.
on Super Nintendo.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was a big Razor Ramon fan. I loved The Rock when I was little and stuff, and I was a big Shawn Michaels fan. And it's funny because the one match that I kind of remember is I believe it was him and the Hogan where he like oversold that like wrestled like kick it like
yeah.
And I remember being a little
SummerSlam,
kid. Yeah, I remember being a little kid being like, wow, he's really getting his butt kicked, and like I didn't know at the time, you know, but it was like now I look back and I just giggle. And, you know, kind of same things. It was funny. Like my dad used to call them like human cartoons. You know, he was the one that I'd like watch it with. And I had an uncle Buster who we'd go over at his house. We'd rent like the Royal Rumbles and like the pay-per-view events and stuff. And, you know, it was cool to get to see that. And, like I said, I fell out for a while and, I got back into it because of, you know, shooting that video for an awesome board game, which I will pin actually in the description. You can pick it up now. Those guys put so much time and effort to making that game awesome. It's got some cool concepts and, you know, we'll get into that later, but a link will be in the description on that. But, you know, then I walk into Pioneer Valley Pro Wrestling and, you know, meeting Hammer and Jay's his brother. And do they own it together? Or is it one of?
No, well, it's Hammers.
Just, okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like, he runs such a good show, professional dude. Like he's just got a good attitude. Like you can tell, like, he's got like the artistic vision. I walk around and looking at things and seeing it. And it's like, you can just tell he's got a good thumb on it. I did get to shoot some stuff for Test of Strength. So I did meet Wagner. Great event. Like, man, if you want to see a great, like Test of Strength, just top notch. Like what a show.
See, I would say that both PvP and TOS are fantastic. And not just because I work for both of them, but like they really are. I think PvP is just the absolute height of storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, they have contiguous storylines that have gone for years and years. And there's always a personal investment and involvement in the beef between these wrestlers, you know, and the chase for the championship and everything. Test of Strength has also definitely had phenomenal, like some of the best storylines around, period. And I would never take that away from them, but I would say that TOS tends to have, and this is not even from my mouth, this is from a lot of fans' mouths who go to a TOS show. They say, I can't believe how good that was, how good the wrestling was. It's, you know, there's also incredible wrestling in PvP. I'm not trying to take one away from one or the other.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying like,
sure, yeah.
like, because we're trying to get people to go to shows.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to go see cinema, you know, if you want to see like these two rivaling, you these two rival authority figures who've been at each other's throats for the last 3 years of PvP hug because they finally have a common enemy and they took them out. You go to PvP. You know, if you want to see Ichiban and Sammy Diaz go 2 out of 3 falls for 2 championships at the same time, you go to TOS. Like, there's just different, you know, there's something for everyone in the scene. It's just like music. It's just like theater. You know, so don't hesitate to try to find something to go to.
Well, and what's nice is a lot of these organizations, like, it's not like most wrestlers don't just wrestle for one organization. Like, I'm seeing these guys pop up all over the place. And you brought up Ichiban and Sammy Diaz, and it's funny because every time, like, there's not a camera rolling and the name Ichiban's brought up, you're always like, what do you say? You're always like, he is the best wrestler. Like,
I mean, well, don't make me sound like a simp, but
you know, but if he is, he's phenomenal.
I honestly believe that Ichiban's the best professional wrestler in the world.
Yeah,
including TV guys. And you know, I'm not saying he's better than Roman Reigns. I'm just saying I don't think anyone is so much better than him that you would just dismiss it. I don't think anyone is.
Yeah, he is a high flyer. He is an exciting wrestler.
He can do everything. He was a collegiate amateur wrestler. You know, he just gets it. Like, the character speaks Ichinese, so you're never gonna like have a long soliloquy from him, I don't expect. But his grasp for the storytelling aspect, for the physical aspect, for making his opponent look better, for everything he does is just spot on, you know. And I don't have enough good things to say about him. I consider it, you know, a privilege to be close enough with him that I can talk to him about stuff, and like he'll give me his feedback, and even watching him, I learn, you know. But I do, you know, I think Sammy Diaz is right there with him too.
Yeah, Sammy's exciting.
God's honest truth, you know, as a hero or a villain. Again, you know, Sammy is himself, so he's not much of a talker. He's going to go out and do it. You know, it's not that he can't talk. He definitely has had some very entertaining promo segments, but his strength is obviously the ring work, and he's incredible, and he's unmatched. He's probably as good as Ichiban. It's just, you know, there's different people doing different things, just like the different promotions bring you different things.
On the Facebook, I actually just dropped a quick clip of Sammy Diaz, I'm going to mess up Benny. There you go. Perfect.
Another guy I've known for a long time. Good guy.
The size difference of these two, though, like the video does not do it justice. And like, I don't mean any disrespect when I say this, but like, Sammy's a small guy. Like, he is not a big Hulk. He picked up a guy that's 2.5, 3 times his size, and like, it was so impressive. And then not only did he slam him, but then he goes up on the rope, and I got one of the sickest like splashes. It was like, it was super cool. So I was pumped to see that. But another wrestler that I see in this area that every time he steps out, like, really, like, puts a smile on my face, is Keith Youngblood. This dude, I like his gimmick, I like his style, I like his attitude. I just think he brings a lot. I actually, I filmed him a couple times now, and I hope to catch up with him. He's somebody I'd love to have on the show too, to, you know, get some more of his backstory and what's going on.
He would be great for the show because he's been around for a really long time. You know, even though he can still go at an incredible pace, you know, he's been at it for a while. So I'm sure he has some pretty remarkable stories to tell.
Nice. And that's what we're trying to get here. Again, I like to get so much of the insight to hear about, like, you know, what got you into wrestling, your process to do it. Because again, like, when I became a firefighter paramedic, it was funny because it was like one of those things where it's like, nobody really does this, right? Like, people are that, but like, who does that? Wrestling seems like one of those things, but it is obtainable to you. Like, you could be a wrestler, you could be a ref. Like, it's not that you have to be directly in the show like that. Just be part of the community. I mean, I think you'll get a lot out of it. Speaking of
the first 2 classes at Test of Strength are free.
There you go.
And you don't have to do anything you don't want to. If you're uncomfortable taking bumps, don't do it. If you want to, you can do whatever you want. They will make sure that you know how and experience what you want to experience. And if you get the bug, you know, it's very affordable monthly fee. And, you know, again, you become part of a family.
Yeah, I'm gonna get down to the Test of Strength training school there because I want to do some video and some stuff and interview some wrestlers and get more behind the scenes stuff. You know, the podcast is cool, but I do like the out in the wild stuff. But it's just tough because I always feel bad, like, when the wrestlers are there in their day, like, again, you guys are all working regular jobs and then traveling and trying to get this in as much as you can. So it's like, I don't ever want to take away from anybody. Like, I know you guys are trying to prepare and stuff. So like, trust me, I don't take it as like personal. If you guys don't have time for me or like shrug me off, or if you don't want a camera in your face or on you, like, just let me know. And like, it's not personal. Like, I get it. You guys are trying to zone in and stuff. You know, I'm trying to get footage for a documentary and stuff, but like, that doesn't matter. I can get that anytime, anywhere. But you know, again, like the community is so important. You know, I ended up, so we talked about a couple of organizations, but I also went down to Pure Vanguard and Doc. What a great guy, man. Doc is like salt of the earth people right there. His event was phenomenal. He's just somebody like, you know, he puts himself in the show, like, and you can see when he's up there and talking and walking and moving, like he puts 100% of himself into what he does. And it's impressive to see. And then his son does some of the filming and stuff for him, and he does a killer job. They just live streamed their last event, if I'm not mistaken, and it came out really good. So you guys are killing it over on that end too. So I'll be down. I want to include you guys in the documentary. We'll get involved in stuff. So I'm excited to have you guys. So if anybody wants to check out a Pure Vanguard wrestling event too, I think they're phenomenal.
I guarantee you Doc could come up and do an interview with you.
Oh, he'll be on the 100% without a doubt. He's been in this for so long. I went down to this summer. He had something called the One Love Fest, and it's funny. So all right, don't think I'm a jerk here, but the me of 15 years ago, like when I used to look at like hippie stuff and hear things like One Love, I would have been like tree hugging hippies, like, and roll my eyes at it. But like being an adult now and like going through things and stuff and like being at this festival and seeing these people like playing music and like saying things like one love, but truly like just the good energy and the good vibes. Like I get it now. Like I understand what they mean by that. Like if we had more of that, there'd be less of all the other negative stuff. So like it really hit different. And like Doc was the epicenter of this. You know, he got these vendors in there. There was people selling their own personalized art. I interviewed a bunch of people. I tried to do a bunch of commercials, like as much as I could to get out for some of the vendors and stuff. And you know, it was super cool to see, like, you know, he does a lot for wrestling. He does a lot for his community. So he's somebody that I definitely want to help promote. And then another show that I actually checked out, which certainly different than anything else that we've talked about and discussed, but something that I thought was quite magical in its own respect, wrestling with character.
So before we move too far from Vanguard.
Yeah. Oh, if you got more
they just put up something they're calling the Sportatorium on the property, because Doc owns and operates a therapeutic farm called Pill Willip in Wolcott, Connecticut. He just put up this big, it looks almost like a greenhouse, but it's got like the cloth, you know, what do you call it? Umbrella. I don't know.
No, yeah.
It's a big canopy. Yeah. It's a big canopy, and they're putting the ring up there and letting it live there because they have 2 rings now, I guess. So he's going to have like live events. He's going to have tapings on the premises at the farm. So that's going to be coming. So that's really, I think that's extremely cool, especially considering how close it is to my house. But yeah, that's a quick, easy drive. But yeah, wrestling with character is an entirely different thing as well. There's so many different ways for you to enjoy wrestling. Purdy Curdy, who runs Wrestling with Character, is another guy who's been around for, I mean, he's got to be over 20 years. He's got to be closer to 30 years in wrestling.
He's somebody I have to have on the podcast as well.
He has done unbelievable things. I hope you get a 2-part podcast out of him. I hope you talk about everything, because he's got all the stories. And he has been an extremely supportive person to me, even though we barely have experience, you know, we haven't spent a lot of time together. But like, you know, when I've had, you know, personal struggles or, you know, like he's been there in my corner, and like he'll text me just to check up on me and stuff. Like he's a fantastic human being as well. But Wrestling with Character is it's a spectacle, right? It's awesome.
Yeah. So he had me go down, and I was able to help film an event with those guys to help them out. And it's not something that they put like a lot of video up, because they want you to go get the experience. And for those of you that don't know me, like Halloween, like September to October, it's my favorite. Like I love it, like 100%. And they ended up doing like a trunk or treating before the event. They had some great vendors out there, just some wonderful people. There were so many kids dressed up in costumes and stuff. And the reason I say it's so much different than the other ones is I don't know if it's fair. I guess it's fair to say it's a bigger production. There's lighting, there's more audio involved. The wrestlers come out. There's a lot more talking, dialogue. It's a lot more of a story. It incorporates the audience, I think, at a slightly higher level to some aspect.
Well, they even advertise their pre-show as interactive.
Yeah, so you do get some certain things out of this event that you won't get anywhere else. And Kurt is just somebody like the first minute I talked to this guy, like you can just tell like the love and the passion and the drive that he has for wrestling is, I don't want to say it's unmatched. I mean, again, we've met a lot of people that are phenomenal, but he's just like this next level of like, he's done it all. I mean, I got to hear some of his story and he's always got a smile on his face. Like he's just a great person to have
Super
around
intentional
us. Yeah.
About everything he does. Yeah.
In the same way in his show, I was just so impressed. I just thought the matches were phenomenal. The way that they played the story, the characters, just everything. It was really cool to see. So if you ever get a chance wrestling with character, he does some really neat stuff over there. I've only been around for a very short period of time. I know we kind of talked about those 4 that I touched on. I know I'm going to mess this up. Tetsuo. Okay. Tetsu's another one. The only experience I had with those guys real quick is they were down at Kineticon and I just happened to walk in. I ran into you there, right? Yeah. And I didn't even know there was going to be wrestling there. And you're like, you were the one that told me when I ran into you. You're like, yeah. So I was like, so I'm like, well, clearly I'm going to film some of this.
So you just went to Kineticon?
I was there to just hang. Well, because
I didn't realize that.
For those of you that don't know, I have RSMP Wrestling. I have another YouTube channel that we actually monetize. We got like 300 subscribers called RSMP Tabletop, where in the same studio, just on that side, we do some nerdy board game tabletop stuff. But, it's fun. I got a really good group of guys over there. And then Running Scared Motion Pictures, that's what RSMP is. That's kind of what started this all. When I first started it, I was shooting music videos, weddings, short films, things like that. And I still do all of that, but it's hard to get people to like follow that work when I'm putting something different often. So that's why I branched out and I do the wrestling to post the wrestling stuff and, etc. But yeah, it's been really exciting to just get to see these different events and these different organizations. They're doing their different things. They each have their different characters. Some definitely have their strengths, but to be honest, from what I've seen so far out of the events that I've been to, there's not really a lot of weaknesses, I would say. I mean, there are some events that, maybe have slightly better lighting and things like that. Like if I'm being critical, so the filmmaker and like the part of me that's like, how far am I willing to take this RSMP wrestling thing? I think the one thing that I would like to see more from all events that I've been to, it's tough though. I mean, you're in gyms, you're in VFWs, you're in a lot of different things, but like lighting is just so important to the atmosphere and how the show feels. And I get that we can't control like a lot of the lightings, but like rent stuff, guys. If you're running an event, like rent it, like bring it in. I really truly think like that's what really and I'm telling you, cinematically wise, if I'm there, I can only make a full gym that's fully lit look so good. But when we have the right lighting, it can look like a movie. It really can.
I remember when Legacy is Timeless was up in Manchester and we had that wedding venue. Remember that?
That
looked awesome.
I don't have any more footage of that because again, I just popped in to shoot that. I wasn't like trying to do this. The natural light that was coming in there, the wooden pillars, like it was so gorgeous. Yeah.
Everyone who attended or worked for that little stretch of time that we were there. That's a real shame. It was all bureaucratic stuff with the landlord and the people running the venue that had nothing to do with the wrestling. There were people who had deposited like tens of thousands of dollars for their weddings who lost it because they couldn't put their wedding on there. I hope they got their money back, but it was a whole debacle. Had nothing to do with the wrestling, but like what you were saying about not many weaknesses, right? Like somebody's going to bust my balls about what I just did trying to compare PvP and TOS. But at the end of the day, no, like, Paradise Alley, which you may not have been to yet.
I don't believe so, no.
They, a lot of names you'd recognize would be there from all the other promotions and everything. They do one at a brewery. They do it outside all summer long. They have events in their school, which actually is a little more spacious than a lot of the schools. And, you have room for rows of seats. So it actually looks like, a little studio taping kind of. Everyone has different strengths and not a lot of them do have weaknesses. I would agree. Production is so difficult and like so many of these promotions are just praying to break even. They're putting it on because they love it. So like extra expenses become like crippling or nearly impossible. So like, I understand what you're saying. In fact, I've said so to promoters. I've said like, listen, I talked about Battlefront. their normal lighting in that Ludlow Elks is what you saw when you went. You know, it's just lit. It's just turn the lights on. We did a music video. The match I had with Just Incredible also filmed for a documentary, and they did rent some lights and put them up at the corners and killed the lights and it was so different. It was a completely different animal, and the music video looks sick. Even Kincaid's footage looks sick, because of the lighting, like you said. And if anyone could afford to do that, it would be a monumental advantage. But it becomes super difficult. I mean, even NEW, when they had Cody against Kurt Angle in a cage in Waterbury, Connecticut, it's in a gymnasium. So you turn on the lights. That's what you get. It sucks.
But again, you're
completely right.
Yeah, it can be anywhere, but if you have the right lighting, you can just make it feel so much more intimate. So here's what I would propose. If there's any businesses out there that are hearing this, why don't you sponsor a wrestling event? I'm sure if you threw $500,000 at them so they could do something like that, they'd let you promote, do whatever there. I'm sure, I don't know. I didn't talk to any of these guys. I'm throwing this out there on the spot.
I've worked a lot with sponsors. Thank you, West End Automotive.
Throw those guys a shout out. Anybody that's helping
restaurants I've worked for and that stuff does go a really, really long way. And I think a lot of the talent is so focused on like doing their wrestling part or doing their promo part. I don't think they realize how easy it is to like help by just like asking, oh, my dad has a lawn care business, is it in the town the wrestling's at? Mm-hmm. Put the logo on the flyer, put the logo, have the guy on the microphone talk about it, and like drum up some business, give them a couple $100. You're helping them out, and it doesn't really hurt you too much. And you get your name out there too. You're completely right. It's remarkably easy to get a couple of sponsors, not to cough up too much, but you get 4 or 5 that are giving you a couple $100. That's $1,000. It's just that little extra will help the whole promotion.
Mm-hmm. And again, you're not just helping the promotion. Like you just said, these guys aren't doing this to get rich, to buy better cars, bigger houses. They're doing it to bring something for their community. They're trying to give these athletes like a new platform or an existing platform to continue doing what they love. So, and I will say this too, like if I'm at an event and I know somebody like helped out and sponsor, like you better believe I'll incorporate you guys in the video and, do whatever I can to help out as well, because like, that's why I'm doing this. Like, not that I like need to air this out there, but like just so people have an idea, like I don't really charge for anything I'm doing. Like I just go to these events on my time, like all the promotional stuff that I'm shooting. Like again, I think this is a great thing. I think there's a lot of great people here and I just want to be a part of it. And it's like, everybody's always motivated because they're like, well, what can I get out of this? What I get out of this? I get to meet awesome people. I get to film really cool stuff. And like, I get to put out content that I'm proud of. So not that I don't do paid work or, I'm not available for certain things, but like when I show up, like the documentary and all that stuff, like I want to incorporate people in, and I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking to just give back and, make something that we can all be proud of. Like, I want to put out content that in 10 years from now, we'd be able to sit on, your couch, throw on YouTube and like throw on a video that I made, and it puts a smile on your face because I shot it in a different way. It's not just your match. It's an interview. It's the way I shot it with the slow motion. And, I'm trying to capture, the beauty in it and the times that really matter right now. I'm getting into this long segment because it's going to lead me into my next section, which by the time this podcast drops, you either just dropped or you're about to drop a promotion.
I debuted later in life than most professional wrestlers. As big, as strong, as tough, and as mean as anybody, and also smarter.
That's one of the things I want to talk about next is like the wrestling promotions. Like, I love the fact that there's so much fan stuff. There's so much like wrestlers, like they can turn their cell phone on and, record a promo. Speaking of the fan stuff, before I move on, Don Kincaid, you are like... oh my goodness. Like what an amazing human. Like you were the best fan that wrestling could ever. No, seriously. Like I saw him at the last event. He gave me the biggest hug. It's just wonderful having you guys there. It really is. You do so much, if you want to follow wrestling, follow his account. He posts, he talks to, it's crazy. It's just like, he loves it so much.
He used to do something called Stirring the Pot, where he would do a sit down with somebody for, 40 minutes, an hour and a half. I think I did one that was like 2.5 hours with him once. Cause I'll talk, he just, he's everything you're saying about how you're doing what you want to do is Don. except he isn't a professional filmmaker. Like he has his phone and an uncomparable enthusiasm. Um, but yeah, no, him and you can't necessarily talk about Kincaid without also mentioning Fogman
Yes,
because
yes.
those two gentlemen are solely responsible for so much of what we do being immortalized and being captured and being visible to everyone literally in the world because it's on YouTube. You know, I can't tell you how many promotions I've worked for, like way more than the alternative, where you know, no footage ever exists. They have hard cam. What did you do with that? They never release anything. And it's like, I'm not talking about anybody in particular and I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying, you know,
A lot of history just gone.
definitely
Yeah.
75% of what I've done would not exist. Like it would have existed in the moment. I'd have a nice memory and that's it. But because of Kincaid and Fogman, we have so much of this commemorated. Oh my God, it's no one can thank either of you enough at all. It's awesome.
Yeah, I ran into Fogman at a Test of Strength event, and he was telling me, you know, his YouTube channel got taken down not too long ago, and like
the big one, the old one, which he lost.
Dude, the amount of effort that he had put
20,
into that,
30 years of history.
That is absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, there's just nothing set in place to fix that. And, you know, it's tough because it's like, I struggle with it. When I was shooting like the live events, it's, you know, people are walking out to copywritten music, there's stuff playing in the background. And I try the best I can. You know, I pay for a music library. So that's why, like, if you watch an event that I put out, especially with this Pioneer Valley Wrestling event coming up, it's a little wonky. I have to like fade that song out. I try to keep the background if I can use like voice isolation enough so we can hear like some of it, but it doesn't come out right. But it's like, I'm just not going to risk it. Like I can't, like I'm not, it's just tough, you know? And you know, when I first started working with you, you're like, I already have this copyright free song, but taking care. That helps out so much. Like if you want people to be able to promote you and support you more, really get a copy free song. Like, you know, pay the money for it, talk to a local artist. I shoot bands all the time. Like I can guarantee if you need somebody to make you a custom song, reach out to me. I'll put you in contact with a ton of different people that do that stuff, but that's important, you know? So it's cool to see that the fans put out so much, you know, content and they really make it special. They make it. Not only can you follow it, but you can follow from their view. You can follow the wrestlers that they like, the way that they see the event. And that's kind of cool. And again, like there's certain people that sit in the same spot. So if you look at their content, their pictures, it's like events change, but like their location kind of stays the same. It's like cool to see. But now on to the thing that I do want to talk about, promotions. Wrestlers. Like I get, yeah, it's cool to just turn your cell phone on and talk for 2 or 3 minutes. But like if you make a mistake 10 seconds into it, start again and redo it. Like I'm just like, I'm following a lot of you guys and I try to like and promote and share some of this stuff, but like you guys got to take yourselves seriously here too. And I'm not there again, same thing like you said, I'm not trying to knock anybody and I don't want to be like negative at all on the channel, but like really like
he's encouraging you to take yourself seriously and represent yourself well.
That's really it. It's like I don't mean this to be rude, but like when I see a promo event or a promo that's shot really poorly, my first thought is like, well, if you can't take yourself seriously, then why should I? And again, not to be disrespectful, but it's like, I would be open to even like maybe help doing like a lighting tutorial. If anybody wanted to know, reach out to me. Like with 2 lights, you can create some ambiance, you can get some feeling. But again, like it shouldn't feel like you're searching off the top of your head for what you're going to say next. I want it to be more purposeful and more driven. I bring that up because people are about to see a promo that you're going to drop, and I think it's going to knock some socks off.
I'm very excited. I don't want to say too much. What you're saying about like the quality of it, right? Like I believe most people would agree that one of my strengths is promos, and I think it has a lot to do with having a background in acting and a background in writing. So like it's not only and a background in music, honestly, because like I try to use a cadence and a rhythm to my speaking so that it feels if you know, so that there's Shakespeare iambic pentameter, you know, a lot of especially the sonnets were written specifically rhythmically so that what you're saying as you're saying it is emphasized in a certain way. Like, you know, that's a lot more than I would ever ask of somebody who's only ever been a professional wrestler. I don't expect anybody to use iambic pentameter. I don't expect anybody to, you know, Dan the Man doesn't write scripts. Mm-hmm. He goes off the top every time he speaks.
He rips it though. He doesn't
and
need
it's
to.
always awesome. You know, so I'm not saying you can't do that at all. I'm just saying people consider promos one of my strengths, I think, because I incorporate elements from different areas of performance that I've have experience with, right? It absolutely kills me that the best I can do 90% of the time, if not more, is hold my iPhone 11, you know, and talk into it. I always find something that's lit pretty good. You know, I'll go outside, find a brick wall with, you know, a light so that it's like I can have some shadows and some contrast here. Then you're going to hear a car go by, you know, and that's not the end of the world. It doesn't ruin everything, but I know that the strength of my promos deserves better than an iPhone 11 and background noise. So with the opportunity to work with you and put something out that I think is actually going to represent me as strongly as is warranted, like it's just an incredible opportunity, and I can't thank you enough. Even if people watch it and they're like, that wasn't that great, dude. I don't know what you're hyping it up for. Fine. You didn't like it. You didn't like it. But for me, I feel like this will be the first promo I've done that looks, sounds, and feels like it should. So,
and if you don't like it, you, you're wrong. It's a banger, like straight up, like it's an absolute banger.
I feel, thank you. I feel good about it, and I'm really excited. And the funny thing is, like, you know, I hope other promotions aren't like, well, what the fuck? How come we couldn't do that for me? Well, this is the first one.
Yeah.
And I think anyone would understand that Test of Strength is always going to be home to me and is always going to be the place where my stories start and finish, and where my character is most well represented. Like, no matter where I go, that's Ryan Fraust from Test of Strength. It's not, you know, I mean, you know, when I go to Cabba Wrestle, which is drag, burlesque, live music, and wrestling all at the same time, that's not Ryan Fraust from Test of Strength, because I'm going out there, I'm just whining about the fact that there's, you know, drag queens, and I'm not talking junk about that work. I'm saying, why are they here? It's supposed to be a wrestling show. You know, why are you people clapping for this mummy or this, you know, roller skater, or like Dank the Clown? You know, this is supposed to be a wrestling show. We're supposed to be combat athletes. And then I get beat by, you know, a princess or something. You know what I mean? So it's like, obviously, I don't want the Ryan Fraust who just caned the shit out of Wagner Brown and Sammy Diaz and chokeslam them and ruin the main event of Fight for Your Dreams. I don't see that as the same guy. I'm doing something different at Cabba Wrestle. However, TOS is always going to be home, and I'm always going to try to make everything I do there as impactful as possible. That said, having a promo of with this much cinematic and production quality, it had to be TOS would have to be the first place I do that. And if I have the good fortune to continue working with you for more promotion, for more promos, you know, eventually I'll be able to do one for Vanguard with you, and I'll be able to do one for PvP with you, and I'll be able to bring that professionalism and quality that they all deserve. It's just, yeah, it's the first time I've ever had those resources. And so it's kind of like crazy, and I'm really excited.
Well, again, I'm not just trying to be here and like throw that out. I mean, I just helped, I did like a 1-minute promo for PvP. I'm trying to help get that stuff out there. So like the hope would be like, especially if I can get down to like some of the wrestling training stuff, I'd be willing to shoot promos for you guys. They're usually pretty quick. Like, I mean, bring a couple lights, bring some stuff. Like, it's not hard to do. But what I need out of this, again, I'm not even looking for money. Like, there might be a time where if we do a project, like maybe we'll ask for donations. And again, if that happens, I would hope that you guys remember how much work we're putting into it, and you know, try to give some of that back. But like liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting on our stuff, like that's really what helps us grow. Like if we can get to the point where we can monetize, I don't have to worry about making money anywhere else other than just off that through sponsorship. If you like my work, you see what we're doing, you see where we're going, you want to sponsor the podcast or some videos or the documentary coming up or a wrestling event, like reach out to us. Like between me and Ryan, like we know people that you can get in contact with or whatever, but like help this out. If you want to promote or sponsor something, like this is a good thing to do. So, you know, wrestlers out there, like if you think that, I would be willing to do a cool tutorial video on how to make like more cinematic videos, and I would use a cell phone because that's what people use. I could show you guys how to do a little bit of lighting with it. There is free software called DaVinci Resolve. You can download it right now. There is a paid version for $295, but there's a free version. You download that right now. It's one of the most powerful editors there are. You have that in a cell phone. Just by cutting and adding edits to your video as opposed to just shooting them on your phone and just uploading them, you're going to notice a huge, huge improvement. You can get every line perfect. You can get your timing, your inflections perfect. You can tweak the audio so it sounds a little bit better. You can add a flare as a transition, and you can do this in just a few minutes. I'm not talking hours of editing.
I use InShot, which it sounds, you probably know better. I should probably try yours if, I have to do more on my own, but just putting the fight card in the front or the back, just putting some music in the background is just so pivotal. People talk junk about people who do car promos all the time. Well, you're sitting in your car. That's stupid. I mean, standing against a brick wall with just your phone and that's all you do. Like you said, show that you're invested in yourself so that we can invest in you in return, right?
Yeah, exactly. But again, I'd be willing to do that. We want guests on the podcast. I want, listen, if there's different events out there, I got a sweet job where I can work with my schedule a little bit. I'm based out of Massachusetts. If you're a further event and you want me to come down with my skills and do some promo and some work for you, reach out. Again, I can make that happen. So, yeah, I don't think this episode needs to be any longer, Frosty. I think we got to talk about a lot of subjects and stuff here. Like I said, I think in the future, 45 minutes to an hour is where we'll try to shoot. Like you said, if there's Kurt or somebody that's a guest that has to go over that, we just can't contain that. I'm not going to cut the art short for that. But I want it to be digestible so people can enjoy it. But again, this was our first podcast. I'm still working on some of the lighting and some of the things here. Some of the audio setups and stuff, but we're going to continue to push forward. So if you'd like to be on a future episode of the podcast, reach out. If you want to be part of the documentary, or if you have any interest in maybe even being part of the miniseries, feel free to shoot us a message. But I will say, any wrestler that's watching this, the wrestlers that do share, that do tag, that do like my stuff and comment and push it out there, I'm going to do more media. I'm going to do more pictures. I'm going to do more stuff for you guys because I appreciate that stuff. If you are an event, and I'm not calling anybody out, I've had really good luck with everybody who I've worked with so far, but if I post a video or a set of pictures and I tag you guys in it, you also have to share that too, because I don't have access to all the range of people that you do. So don't just share the first one. If I do 4, 5, 6, high-end photo drops, every photo drop I do that goes up on the Facebook, I don't batch edit those. I take the time to go through every photo. I do some of the color and stuff, but I'm really trying to take the time to give you guys really good promo. And, if I do watermark the photos just because I want people sharing them so they can get my name out there. But if you ever want to use them for your promo, or if you ever want, a version that you can print out for your, reach out to me. I don't care. I want you guys to have it and use it. I just do that so I can get, my name out there too. But subscribe, share, comment. It helps the ecosystem, and it's going to help us continue doing what we want to do. So you got any closing words or final thoughts for us here, Frosty?
No, just thank you for having me. I will do as many of these as you would like. I'm really excited about everything that we are working on together. It's just really cool to meet like-minded creative individuals, so thank you.
Yeah. So be on the lookout, guys. We're going to have Frosty's promo dropping real soon. We have the documentary that we're working on that I'm going to continue to get video for. Still going to just try to cut some promos and have some fun, do some cool stuff at some events. I do have fun doing the photography. My aunt and uncle have fun doing it. Bob Thorpe has fun doing it. So we're going to continue to push forward. Lenny's going to help out with some camera stuff, hopefully. And we hope to see you guys in the future. Until then, stay safe.